Hi everybody, Andrew Cherin, attorney at law here. I am a Seattle personal injury lawyer, and I represent people who are injured in Washington State. And today I want to talk to you about maritime law. So what is maritime law and how does it possibly affect you if you're injured in a boating accident? So in order to, so maritime law is a little bit different than workers' compensation law, and it doesn't really apply to Washington State. A lot of maritime law is federal jurisdiction, means it's outside of state law. And so other rules apply. So normally, if you're injured on the job, you get workers' compensation. So you go through labor and industry in Washington State if you're injured on a job. You can't sue your employer. However, if you are injured while on a boat, you're in federal waters. So federal law applies in those situations. What exactly does it qualify for you to be considered under federal law versus Washington law or state law? It depends on what the type of work you're doing in. If your boat goes out, let's say, to go fishing and you work for a commercial fishery, federal law is going to apply to when you're injured on that boat. Now, if you're, let's say, you're injured on a boat while you're fishing because of the employer's negligence, normally in Washington State you're not allowed to sue the employer. But in federal law, under the Jones Act, you could possibly sue the employer and their insurance. So this doesn't necessarily mean, let's say if you knew the person who owns the boat, that you're going to sue them directly and they're directly going to owe you money. Most of the time commercial fishermen have their own insurance policies where they're able to provide just the insurance, and the insurance will go enough to cover all your injuries, pain and suffering, etc. So this is a cool area of law because it's different from state law in that you can actually sue your employer or get insurance benefits from your employer versus just getting medical benefits paid. So in state law, in state workers' compensation law, generally you're only going to get benefits from your employer. So they're going to provide benefits. You're going to have to go to the state. They're going to pay for some of your lost wages, maybe some disability, but you're not going to see pain and suffering. So you're not going to see that kind of money in your pocket. Just because under state law you're not allowed to sue your employer. Under there's certain things that can make it so you can sue your employer, but generally you're not allowed to sue your employer in the state of Washington. So in federal law, though, if you're injured on a boat, the Jones Acts apply to seamen or people that are on water that are working, and you're able to sue your employer for general negligence. So something that the employer could have done to prevent your injury, but you were injured, slip and fall, hazards on the boat, just the safety mechanisms are in place for potential injuries that arise on the boat. There's a lot of different things that are at play while you're on a boat that could cause injury. The sea's rough, the water, is rough, it's unpredictable, and there's a number of ways that you can get hurt. And under federal law, generally, you can go after your employer's insurance policy, and will provide you with pain and suffering and other things that you couldn't get under Washington law. And there's other areas of law under maritime law that also could apply to just strict liability, meaning the employer's liable no matter what, because of this was a type of defect in the boat or defect in the procedures for boating that the employer had sole discretion over and caused this injury through negligence, and they're liable because of that. I'll get into that in another episode. But generally, if you're in a boat accident, and while you're working for a fishing company, some kind of commercial fishing company, some other company that requires you to be in a boat, and you're injured while you're on the job, you could most likely sue your employer and get benefits for that through their insurance. So if you have suffered one of these injuries, give me a call. I give free consultations. My number is 206-850-6716, and you can find me online at www.lawcherin.com.